All right, man, peace. Hey, brothers, you ever have a friend who broke up with his woman and he talking to you on the phone about it, and he acting like he want to spaz out on the broad, and he got to go back to her crib to get his stuff? What do you tell him? You say, look, keep it cool, because you still got to get your stuff from this broad's place. You don't want to alienate yourself from her while your stuff is still at her crib. You have to keep it cool, keep the connection, make sure that the dynamic between you and her remains relatively copacetic until you get all your stuff. I mean, that's just called having discernment and prudence, right? Well, that's pretty much what Mr. Gregg Popovich is trying to do right now. He knows damn well that he don't like Kawhi, because Popovich has the mentality of a cult leader. And Kawhi Leonard was able to break the spell of the cult. And that's why we saw during the game when the Toronto Raptors were playing against the San Antonio Spurs, what was the crowd calling him? They were calling him a quote-unquote traitor, because they look at the Spurs as being a quote-unquote family, but not in the household sense, but more in a cult sense, like the People's Temple. But why was Gregg Popovich after the game acting as if he was so saddened by the crowd during the game calling Kawhi Leonard a traitor? Because he knows that he's still trying to get Kawhi Leonard to play for him on the U.S. national team. So that's Gregg Popovich's version of trying to make sure that the relationship between him and his ex-girlfriend stays okay until he can go get his stuff. He needs Kawhi to believe that he's upset with the crowd. He needs Kawhi to believe that he's still intent on trying to show him that he never had any ill will towards Kawhi, because he needs Kawhi to play for that team. So anyway, they're going to talk about it. I'm going to chime in.
Let's talk about Kawhi, though, because after the game, very nice moment between Kawhi and Gregg Popovich.
Bullshit moment.
Not only did they hug at midcourt, but then Pop shooing all the cameras away. He actually takes Kawhi down the court, away from the cameras, so no one can see what they're saying. Take a listen, though.
Yeah, Pop was probably trying to utter some type of keywords or trigger words to get to get to another personality alter within Kawhi. He's like, Kawhi, can I talk to you for a second? The hummingbird just was able to pollinate the flower. So, you know what that means. I'll see you at the practice facility in a couple months.
So, to Spurs fans, Pop had asked them all to be nice to Kawhi and appreciate what they had been. And look, here's what Pop said about it afterwards.
And we'll go to the line and shoot a couple. Try to pick up a wonder.
Look at this goofy looking Negro in the front. He don't even know what the hell he's saying. How can somebody be a traitor when they demanded to be traded from a franchise? If the Spurs had woefully traded him, you would not have called him a traitor. Had they traded Kawhi Leonard for Kevin Durant or LeBron James, you would not have cared.
I felt badly about it.
Bullshit. You're the one who called all the Spurs season ticket holders and said, hey, this is, my name is Peg Gagovich. I want you guys to make sure that you call Kawhi Leonard a traitor during the game. This message will explode in 10 seconds.
Kawhi's a high character guy. You know, we all make decisions in our lives, what we're going to do with our...
Kawhi Leonard is a high character guy according to you now. But allegedly, you claim that he wasn't a leader. So how much character do you believe he actually has?
Our futures, and he has that same right as any of us. So I felt badly.
So, real emotion from Gregg there, and what I was trying to spit out.
Look at Amino Hassan's face. Amino Hassan like, you full of shit. Let me rewind this back a little bit.
Spit out before. So, real emotion from Gregg there, and what I was trying to spit out before he played that sound was, Gregg had actually asked fans that morning, and in the newspapers, and said, hey, don't boo him for leaving. Cheer him and celebrate everything we accomplished while we were there. And he felt strongly enough about it. You saw.
Let's understand something as well. The San Antonio Spurs have won one championship in the last 11, 12 seasons. And that was when Kawhi Leonard was the MVP of that title run.
You saw him after the game say he was disappointed. Do you think that the things between them feel mended to you, and that's all demonstrative to you of how their relationship is?
No, I think that Gregg Popovich is utilizing his normal manipulative tactics to make sure that he stays within the good graces, or the relatively good graces, of Kawhi Leonard, so that he can use him for the U.S. national basketball team. I think that once Popovich realized that there was going to be no salvaging their relationship when it comes to Kawhi Leonard remaining a part of the Spurs roster, he moved on to phase 2. That being, let's try to salvage this so that he does not try to avoid me when it comes time to play for the Olympic team.
I feel like it's mended between Coach Pop and Kawhi. Obviously,
their relationship is about as mended as your relationship with Larsa Pippen.
Obviously, the fans wasn't part of that meeting, but just knowing Kawhi and Coach Pop a few years back, he asked me to speak to Kawhi, and it was a great opportunity for me to get to know Kawhi. But I know that he has a very special relationship with this young man, even though he's not coaching him and things went a little sour last season.
Of course, they have a very special relationship. MK asset, MK handler.
He has a lot of respect for him, and it was great to see him show his emotions talking about this young player, because he definitely deserves some cheers. They won a championship.
Oh, no, he deserves a lot of cheers. Kawhi Leonard's probably the best player that they've had other than Tim Duncan in the last 20 years. And that includes David Robinson.
There, he was the MVP.
Yeah.
And
because David Robinson was older during the championship years.
And as Pop said, sometimes in your career things go differently, and as players we get treated differently sometimes because we make different decisions, different than people in corporate America, but we should be treated the same. And
I agree. I've stated that already. I have no idea why these fans, especially these fanboys, get so upset when players leave their franchise. That's a part of life. Right now, the NBA world, the NFL world is a lot like corporate America. You might up and decide that you're going to leave your job and move on to a better opportunity. Stop trying to watch these games with your emotions.
And if we're not happy somewhere, we got the right to make a move.
I mean, I want you to go back just one step. When did...
Look at Kawhi Leonard looking up at the sky. Let me rewind this back a little bit.
We should be treated the same. And if we're not happy somewhere...
Imagine Kawhi Leonard speaking at night. That man close his eyes and be like, "Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. The Lord be up in heaven." What is this nigga talking about? I can't even hear what he's saying.
We got the right to make a move.
I mean, I want you to go back just one step. When did Pop ask you to come talk to Kawhi?
It was about a couple of years ago. They was in Chicago playing. And,
okay.
He asked me after the game if I would just speak to him and talk to him and kind of get a feel, because he felt like that his game kind of patterned my game a little bit. And it was just a moment. I went in for about 10 minutes and talked to him after the game.
And what was...
A lot of people watch Kawhi Leonard play, and they see in his offensive game a lot of Michael Jordan and Kobe Bryant, and in his defensive game a lot of Scottie Pippen. And Gregg Popovich and Kawhi are both on record as stating that they watch hours upon hours of film trying to pattern Kawhi's game after those three players, Michael Jordan, Kobe Bryant, and Scottie Pippen.
And what was the main thing you wanted to get across to him?
Just really telling him what he kind of needed to do to keep progressing his game and getting better. And I kind of admired his game and told him that, I've been watching him and see that, he's been getting better and better in the things that I felt like he could work on to, become even a better player. And I feel like that he's filled all those voids.
Yeah.
So in other words, you talked to Kawhi Leonard for about 5 minutes, and at the end of that one-way conversation, he just nodded. He nodded and said,
I wouldn't ask you if he spoke during that conversation, but...
It was hard, but he did speak, as you got.
Now, Scotty, you know damn well Kawhi Leonard did not say anything. That man let you speak. He looked you in the eye, nodded, said, gave you a thumbs up, and then went to the bathroom.
You guys know Kawhi is a very quiet player, so he don't speak much off the court either. So, but it was great just to sit down and talk with him. But our game sometimes make coward out of us sometimes, because as players, people on the outside never know what we're going through, and then when we say things or do things, people take it as the worst. So hopefully that they can mend this relationship, and the fans in San Antonio will continue to embrace this young man.
Well, believe me, Gregg Popovich right now knows that he's in a decent spot when it comes to trying to get back into the good graces of Kawhi, because basically they gave Kawhi what he wanted, and as long as Gregg Popovich keeps trying to communicate with Kawhi, he knows that eventually, now that Kawhi has been appeased, it's more likely than not that he's going to break down and allow Popovich back in, quote unquote, which will allow Popovich to manipulate him into saying, make sure that you're playing for me on that national team. That's really all it's about.
It's interesting because, look, you're right. We don't know what's going on between them, and especially Kawhi doesn't talk a lot.
Right.
Gregg Popovich, very famously closed mouth about what goes on behind closed doors. We do know, Mike Wright, our reporter down there, has said that Pop and Kawhi have actually been texting a lot this season, and that they have maintained that relationship. And then Pop was actually, we know this, Pop came out and said later that he felt his comments about Kawhi's leadership got misconstrued.
I bet you Kawhi's even silent over text message. Popovich be like, hey Kawhi, how's everything going? Kawhi just responds back with a thumbs up emoji.
And he really wanted to communicate to Kawhi. He had good feelings about them. So clearly they have mended something, and just knowing that they've been talking that much I think is super interesting. But it is interesting then also to hear what Kawhi said after.
Pop be trying to tell Kawhi Leonard jokes over the text message. Be like, hey Kawhi, did you ever hear the joke about what does a shotgun have in common with a prostitute? Kawhi Leonard responds back with a confused face emoji. Pop says, 2 cocks and she blows. Kawhi Leonard responds back, her. But anyway, peace.